Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office 2022 Women's Symposium. For tonight's event, we have women on hand from a variety of positions that each play an integral part in the continuing success of our agency. These ladies initiated their careers in the same position that you're in tonight. Through years of hard work, experience, and dedication, they have worked their way to the positions and ranks they currently hold and proudly earned. For each of them, this started with a decision to pursue a career that some might view as out of the norm for women. These ladies are proof that when given an opportunity, anything is possible. Our goal for this evening is to promote and inspire career opportunities for women in law enforcement and detention. During the last 3 years, HCSO has hired a total of 93 women for certified positions. This number has increased annually since 2020. Our goal is to continue to prioritize and cultivate that number with programs to bring awareness to the profession, such as tonight's event. These ladies before you are proof that when given an opportunity, you can excel to positions that have never been achieved. With that being said, I have the privilege of sharing this stage with the first women in the history of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office to earn the rank of Chief Deputy. The Chief Deputy serves as the senior ranking officer directly under the Sheriff. I now introduce and welcome Chief Deputy Lazinski.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here today. As Deputy Shiro said, I have the true honor of being the Chief Deputy for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey to be here, but more importantly, I want to give you guys time to ask questions, and most importantly, to hear from these ladies who do the hard work on the streets on a daily basis. And I think it's critical that you hear what they do and what you guys hopefully will be doing here in the near future. This job is not defined by any specific background. All of us, you're here are stories. There's no mold, there's no special personality for this job. I came from a very small town in New Jersey. I played sports during my high school years, and I wanted to be a marine biologist and work with Shamu and the dolphins at SeaWorld. So that's why I came down to Florida, plus the weather. But as I went through school at the University of Tampa, I kind of paralleled some things with law enforcement. And I did a ride-along with one of the agencies down here. And I did that, and I was immediately hooked. And I started applying. I applied to the Sheriff's Office and was fortunate to get hired. 31 years later, I'm still here. I enjoy the job. And I am so proud to see these women up here, and you'll hear they're from a wide variety of positions. And that is so critical right now in this day and age. We need to reflect the community that we serve. And females are part of it. And no offense, guys, we know we're the smarter part, more patient part. But why Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office? Why come here? You have a sheriff and command staff that support women in positions of power and in law enforcement. And I'm proof of that. This colonel, these majors, a number of these females have been promoted under this sheriff. He wants women to succeed in the workforce. He wants to set examples for women, for children, for girls, and know they have these opportunities. So you don't always have that at some places. So that is so important. And I know we're talking about law enforcement here today, but law enforcement and detention, but there are a number of other positions within our office. We have our dispatchers, and you'll hear from a former dispatcher, and we have somebody in the back that can answer any questions you have. We are a small city. We have human resource department, fiscal, IT. So there are so many opportunities. If you decide law enforcement or detention is not for you, there are other career opportunities out here. And if you're not ready, you could take a different position. We have CSAs, community service officers, detention service officers, to see if that's something you enjoy and you may step up. So don't say you just have to fit into this mold today. Again, why the sheriff's office? We have so many opportunities here for you to learn and grow. Again, these women behind us will tell you, but you're not stuck in a dead-end position. You can look at any of us up here and see there's opportunities for you to succeed, grow. You know, we will pay for your college. I know people have talked to you about pay. We pay well here, ladies. We'll pay for some of your college, health care benefits, and I don't want to bore you with that, but it is important. Training. We provide the best training, and Colonel Poore oversees our training division. We will make sure you have the skills and abilities that you need to do your jobs. We know coming in day one, you don't know the job, wherever it is in our office, but we will provide you with the best training to make sure that you get to where you need to be, because we want you to succeed. Again, I'm going to keep it short for me. And I can tell you, most of us, you can tell how we want you here. Most of us do not like to be up here talking in front of a group. And we are ready to pass this microphone off quicker than you know. But it's important. We want you guys to see what we do and be part of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office family and culture. So thank you for taking the time out of your schedules. We know people don't always want to go out after work. You've had a hard day. But thank you for taking the time to be here, and we really hope you make a choice to join HCSO. So thank you.
Next up is Colonel Poore.
All right, everyone. First of all, the chief hit it right on the head. I am not a public speaker at all. So the one thing I want to do before we get started is thank everybody that put this on, the men and women of recruitment screening, and everybody who had a hand in this community outreach. But I think that the chief, she hit on some things that were in my notes. I think she copied mine, just so we're here. But the biggest thing that I can tell you, just why I'm here at HCSO, has to do with everything about every person and that we work with, and the family that we all come from, that we all come together. We don't get along every day, you guys. There's detention, there's law enforcement, there's civilian positions, there's facility maintenance, there's dispatch, there's everything. We come from all over the world. But when you work together and you go through things that we all go through, we become a family. That takes me to how I got here. Whenever I came to Florida, I played basketball at University of South Florida on a scholarship. And so just in that, you get the team mentality. It's not one of us, it's all of us. And that's here. That's here whether you're male or female or transgender we have. If you're black, white, yellow, purple, it doesn't matter to us. This is a place that it is all about getting us through the day and getting us through that scene or getting us through that shift or whatever it is. And you make lifelong friendships, like I said, family. The chief mentioned that I'm the colonel over training. I'm also the colonel over our detention Department of Detention Services. I started in the jail. I put myself through the police academy way before they used to pay us to do that. And at the time, undersheriff told me that I would never work in patrol because I was a liability. So my driving record was so bad because I was so homesick when I played at University of South Florida that I would shoot home up I-75 to Tennessee to see my family, and I got caught pretty much every time. And there was only a few times that they didn't cite me a citation, so I was sitting in front of he then became the chief deputy, and I had 14 tickets and a suspended license and all kinds of stuff. So I had to go to jail for 4.5 years, and I worked in detention, and it worked out well for me. So if you have any interest at all, I can tell you that we'll find a place. I'm overtraining. I'm proud of that. If you, in any way, have the can, that you want to do this, you have the will, we have the can. We will teach you how to do whatever job you want to do. We're not going to throw you out on the streets. We're not going to give you keys and throw you in the jail. We're not going to give you upstairs and dispatch the mic and expect you to run the county. We're not going to do that. I promise you in training, you come in there, we will teach you every aspect of the job, no matter what you choose before you are expected to go out there. A little bit, if I'm supposed to, a little bit about me is, like I said, I started in detention. I begged to get out of detention because I was ready to go. Like I have one of my detention deputies here that's ready to go. I went to patrol. I became a supervisor. I went to training for many years. That was when active shooter. We were teaching all of our deputies active shooter. From training, I got promoted to corporal, went back to patrol and was an FTO corporal. Then I went different places, undercover and different positions as a corporal. I made sergeant. I went back to FTO. I loved to train. And then I went to warrants, and then I went to internal affairs. I went to CID, criminal investigations, for years as a lieutenant, and then stayed there as a captain, and then became a major division commander for a patrol district on the west side. And I worked patrol until Sheriff Chronister and Chief Lazinski promoted me to colonel, which now that's where I'm at. So the questions are at the end. If y'all have any questions, are there some girls here from Riverview High School? Yeah, Bucciarelli, he dimes y'all out, so apparently y'all have some questions. But really, this is for y'all. This is, if there's, at the end there's questions, you're gonna meet a lot of people. I'm sure I left things out, but one of the biggest things is the opportunity to help people, the opportunity to go to work every day and experience something different, the challenges of this job. You got, I mean, it can go on and on and on, but you see the panel up here and they'll all introduce themselves. You're gonna see all the variety of everything that we do. I mean, you can't imagine. So the last thing I have is, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Major Cole. This is a good story. She was my FTO in the jail. Field training officer. Well, now we call him field training deputy, but she was my FTD in the jail. We worked in booking, and she was really hard on me. And now we're working together again. And tonight she told me I was a Rottweiler. She was like, I had to keep you on a chain. So anyway, Major Tiffany Cole works in detention. She's over J1, which is our booking, releasing inactive inmate records, and intake housing. So anybody, the inmates that come in, they stay for less than 20, 30 days, they stay with Major Cole. If not, they'll come over to Major Brown, which will be after Major Cole, I think, later in the night. Major Cole?
Good evening, everyone. Now that the Colonel has stolen my thunder. So I am Major Tiffany Cole. I have been around for 27 and a half years. Yes, I did train the Colonel way back. The impact that you have on the lives of others is probably the biggest thing for me. The kids, the families, everyone that you run into, you're literally a walking billboard for this agency. And it's how you represent yourself and this agency that matters. I'll just tell you a little bit about how I got here. I was 23 years old, had just had a newborn, and had just graduated from Florida A&M University. I had to figure out quickly how I was going to raise and take care of my son. My mother had a best friend who was a lieutenant with the sheriff's office who would often come over and say, I told you, sheriff's office needs females, you better come on over there. She would talk a little bit about what she did and tell me about the pay and, you know, you've got your degree, the opportunities are endless, we need women, so on and so forth. Talked about the benefits. And I said, okay, by the time he gets 6 months, I'm going to not only have my application in, but hopefully I will already be through the process and be able to start by the time he's 6 months. And lo and behold, at 6 months, I got the final call and I started the academy. This has been the biggest blessing of not only my life, but my kids' life. I now have a soon-to-be 28-year-old son and a 19-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old grandson and a husband that I've been with for 32 years, but married for 25. I'm telling you, any one of you who are here, if you have kids, it doesn't matter. Your support system, if you have a family support system, that's great. But when they talked about family, this agency is family. I can't put into words how much I love what I do. This was the absolute best decision of my life. And just to think, when I started, my goal was actually to become a sergeant. Quite honestly, I didn't see a lot of women in leadership when I started. Now, our sheriff, our chief, our colonel, the support, I can't say it. I can't say it enough. The support is endless. If you are looking for a career, not a job, if you are looking for a career, this agency absolutely is the best agency, and you want to be here. I am available for questions. She did say already that I am the division commander for Orient Road Jail, so it does encompass booking, intake, intake housing. We have classification and records. We have the property section, releasing, GPS, and house arrest, the criminal registration unit, as well as the juvenile assessment center. So there's a wide variety of areas that you guys can work for. Any questions, let me know. Thank you. I have the privilege of introducing Major Kawana Brown, who is the division commander of the Falkenburg Road Jail. Thank you.
As Major Cole said, I'm Kawana Brown. I'm the major of the Falkenburg Road Jail facility here. We have about a little over 2,700 inmates here. Once the inmates come from Orient Road Jail, that's where booking and intake housing is. If they're going to stay more than 48 hours, they'll come here at Falkenburg Road Jail. So a little bit about myself. I've been here 20 years now. It seems like only 10, but it's 10 years. My background is in juvenile justice. I came from DJJ, and I was working there about 4.5 years, and I became a supervisor there, and one of the officers that worked there was trying to get a job here. So when the recruiter called me to ask questions about the officer, I was like, "Are you guys hiring?" And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Are you interested?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." So it's like, who doesn't want to come and work for the sheriff's office? I heard so much about Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Like, can I get a job there? You know, I didn't know I could get a job here. I didn't have a degree at the time. So for some of you who don't already have your degree, I didn't have a degree at the time. So I came here, and I had some college credits, but I didn't have my degree. So once I started working here, I went back to school and finished my AA degree. But then our sheriff at the time in 2004 decided to change the rules on me a little bit and was like, "Hey, if you want to be a sergeant and anything above that, you have to have a bachelor's degree." It's like, a bachelor's degree. So now I got to go back to school again. So I went back to school, and it was totally worth it, I'm telling you. For you ladies, I see a lot of young ladies in the crowd. You don't have to be afraid. I was nervous when I first came here. I had never touched a weapon in my life. So that was really scary for me. But with all of the training and support over there in the training division, you don't have to be nervous about any of it, any aspect of the training. They'll teach you and teach you and teach you some more. I got plenty of remediation, and I'll be honest, I still get remediated sometimes when we're out there shooting. So don't be nervous about any aspect of this job. You'll get trained, and you'll learn everything you need to know, okay? We're gonna take a break.
Take about a 5-minute break. For those of you who have joined us tonight, you had pamphlets in your chairs. If you guys could please. Let's get that microphone first. Okay, let's try that again. You guys have papers in your chairs. If you're one of our guests tonight, please fill those out. On your way out this evening, we have a basket in the back by the door. If you could just drop those in there. There's restrooms down the hall, and there's snacks in the lobbies, but we will reconvene in about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to start back up in 1 minute. Welcome back. Thank you. Next up this evening is Sergeant Osagek from our Criminal Investigations Division.
Good evening. Thank all of you for allowing us to come and speak with you tonight. Like they said, my name is Sergeant Shannon Osagek, and I have been here at the Sheriff's Office for 23 years. For me, that was kind of an easy decision. I'm a third-generation law enforcement, so I kind of grew up with it, kind of in my blood, so I just kind of ran with it. I went to 2 years in college in Georgia. My mother at the time had a medical episode living down in Fort Lauderdale, so I transferred to USF. And did the criminology program there. Had a great time, made a lot of friends, enjoyed it. Did an internship similar to someone else up here, and that was hook, line, and sinker. I was done. I couldn't believe how much fun I could get paid to do this. This is actually really a lot of fun. And so then I came here back in 1999, and in my career, I have done patrol. I was a field training officer. I went to street crimes, which is what kind of a lot of the uniforms in green. I'm sure there might be a representation of somebody in street crimes up here. Which is always exciting. And then I did narcotics for a while. I could never imagine. My parents were really proud of me when I told them I was buying methamphetamine for a living, but that's a fact. Then I was promoted. I did some time in our intelligence unit, and then I have been back in our criminal investigations division, and I'm currently a sergeant over our economic crime section, which handles anything to do with money. So as you can imagine, everybody in this room probably has a credit card or a bank account, so any one of us could be a victim. So my queue stays a little bit busy, but I love it because I'm here and I chose this profession, kind of like maybe a question you ask yourself, what can I do? I mean, I want to help people. I think we all do. And this is a career where I know that there's days that I can come into work and I can leave and I can truly provide help. It's been a great career. It's definitely a family. Without even knowing some of these people are working with them, closely. I know them. I know that they can count on me, and 100% I can count on them. In the duration of this, I've gone back and got my master's, which this office helped pay for, which I may not have been able to do otherwise. I've also had 2 children, and been able to juggle, working this job, amazing, and then raising 2 small children, which are pretty close in age. So I've had a great career. I'm going to continue to do this as long as they allow me, but I would encourage all of you guys to come out, and if you can, do a ride along or see us in a different perspective, I recommend that, because I think once you'll get hooked like we do, and you'll never leave, or at least that's what I hope for all of you.
Good evening. I'm Deputy Karen Shea. Like the chief mentioned, we all don't start on patrol. So I came to the agency in November of 1996, so I'm on my 26th year now. I started as a civilian in the comm center. I graduated in June and started at the sheriff's office in November, so a very quick turnaround. I did not have a college education, but I was telling somebody earlier I had a scholarship for college, and I kind of threw that to the side, trying to work midnights and go to school full time. So it doesn't always work out, but eventually, like so many people have talked about, I was able to go back to college and finish my degree. I ended up getting a degree in at AA at HCC while I was working in the communications center. I did the majority of my time on midnights, and I'm still working midnights a lot of the time, so 12-hour shifts. I just prefer midnights. Worked my way up from dispatcher through as a training coordinator, up senior dispatcher, supervisor, manager. 16 years later, I was like, okay, now what do I want to do? Because I was pretty much at the end of the road there for being able to excel and continue to get promoted. So I started looking at other choices. During the time I went back to St. Leo, I got a Bachelor of Arts degree in Human Resources because our Human Resources Administration position was going to be going civilian from sworn. However, right before I graduated, someone else took that job, so I had to look at other choices. So at that point, I started looking at retirement because when you're 18, you don't look at retirement. People tell you to pay attention to that, focus on what, the long run, but you're 18, you don't care about that. So at that time, I started looking at retirement, what was going to be better for me. So I started reaching out and inquiring about law enforcement, and I haven't looked back yet. I enjoyed my time thoroughly as a civilian. I was very, very fortunate to be able to do all that I did. But then I went on to other things. And so I went through the academy. It was very odd because I had to start over. Even though I already worked here, I had to sign a form that said if I didn't make it through the academy, I was fired because I was taking a demotion at that point. I took a $1,000 a month pay cut almost going to do that. So it was very, very stressful doing it. But I was very grateful to the support that we had from the office and doing that and them being understanding and wanting to excel and do other things. So got through the academy, went on the street, did time in patrol, went to street crimes like the sergeant mentioned, and then from there, opportunities existed or opened up for me to go to the Marine unit, which is where I'm currently at. And I've been there for 4 years and I absolutely love it. So my day is spent on the water, whereas everybody else is on the road. I was fortunate. I was the first female to go to the Marine unit. The Marine unit has never had a female in it at all. So I was very excited and honored to be able to be the first female in that unit. So our time there is fun. No day is the same. We patrol all waterways in Hillsborough County, so there's a large variety of places that we can go and do go. So having said that, if you have any questions at the end, let me know. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, guys. I'm Corporal Marina Dottie. I've been with the agency for 7 years now, but I'm not from here. I'm from Brazil, so I'm an immigrant. So I started this career because I wanted to give back to the community and to the United States. So if I wasn't going to go to the military, I was going to go to law enforcement. I'm here in detention. I'm a corporal in House Unit 6 at Falkenburg on midnights. I'm also part of the Special Incident Response Team, and we'll deal with a variety of things, and I have another member here, and she'll talk more about that. And my time here has been great. I'm going to go back to school so I can get my bachelor's and hopefully move on up to sergeant.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good, okay. I'm Deputy Cotfilia. I'll first off by saying that I did not think this was the job for me. I definitely thought I was too passive, not authoritative enough, so I come from a law enforcement family, so years ago I just said, I'm definitely not doing that. Here I am now. I'm definitely not in Florida. I'm 32 years old. I'm from Falmouth, Massachusetts, so I'm used to the cold weather. I have gladly accepted the heat down here. If the boots don't give it away, I am on our motorcycle unit. So I'm one of 2 females on the unit. My story coming down here, I guess it's a little unique. Like I said, I come from a long line of law enforcement. My dad, my grandparents, my uncle, my cousins, and my brothers. So my brother was actually a Hillsborough County Sheriff's deputy. He was killed in the line of duty back in 2016. So when we came down here for the funeral, the sheriff's office was awesome. They took us in like we were our own family. So they actually came up for the funeral up north, and a couple of the guys tried recruiting me and my other 2 brothers, which I said absolutely not. Actually, Deputy Shira's dad was one of the driving factors. So they were like, just do a ride-along, just see how you like it. So next time we were down for the memorial, I did a ride-along, and just like the chief, I fell in love with it. For the first time, I felt like I was doing something that mattered. And, I guess when you see good things happen to bad people, you think, if not me, then who? So I applied the next day, and I was in the academy that October. And so I've been here 6 years, and I've been with our motorcycle unit the last 2 years, which I absolutely love it. I get paid to ride a Harley-Davidson Electric Glide. So when I'm not on that, they have given me an unmarked Dodge Ram pickup truck with a Hemi, which is awesome. Which I kind of wish I drove that here since it's raining instead of the bike. So I'll tell you a little bit about our unit. We have 25 motor units and 1 motor corporal. Like I said, I'm one of 2 female units. We have only ever had 4 full-time female units. I'm actually going to instructor school in November, so I will be one of our instructors teaching other motor units. You will see us at parades, any parades out in Hillsborough County, you will see us there. We do funeral escorts. We do dignitary escorts. One of the cool ones we did last year was a Super Bowl, so we got to escort the Bucks to the Super Bowl. We did the lightning escort. We'll do demos, at schools. We do traffic enforcement is one of our main priorities. Right now, we've been doing a lot of school crossings. So if you guys know anyone who wants to be a school crosser, please have them apply so we can get back to doing our traffic enforcement. But like I said, I love it. I love this agency. I'm glad I came down here. I love to say y'all. I've definitely taken that in, but I still say wicked, so I keep that from up north. But I would highly encourage anyone. And if you don't think it's right for you, you don't have the right personality for it, you never know. Because like I said, I didn't think I could do it, but here I am. And not only doing that, but I'm on the motor unit. There's only a few female motor units in the whole state. So go ahead and apply. We would love to have you.
Hello, I'm Deputy Sarah Ernstis. I'm with the K-9 section. Just a little bit about me. I grew up in Kentucky, like the Colonel. I went to a college up there, played basketball. I ended up getting a biology degree, chemistry minor. I thought I'd be working with tigers and things like that at the zoo. Didn't happen. We ended up relocating to Florida. My husband got a good job, and I quit my terrible job that I hated and said, I want to find something that I like to do. I didn't care what it paid. I just wanted to find something I like to do. So in my search, my husband read in the paper that the sheriff's office was hiring. I didn't know anybody in law enforcement, never thought about it, but I'm an active person, like doing stuff like that. And similar to the chief, I did a ride-along, and I was hooked ever since then. I love that every day is different. You never know what you're going to get into. You're not doing the same thing every day. And then I've been here for 11 years. I was a patrol deputy. I was a field training officer, street crimes. I was a detective for a few years, and then actually took a demotion to go to my dream job, which is the K-9 section. And with my biology background, I didn't know I was going to do K-9 when I came here, but it fits me perfectly. I love it. Not many days feel like work. I can't believe I get paid to do what I do because I love it. I get to go home with my dog. He's part of our family, and he's my buddy. We work together, and without each other, we wouldn't really be very good on our own for what we do. The reason I chose the sheriff's office when I looked into law enforcement was they seem to put the most emphasis on training. I didn't know anything about law enforcement, didn't know how to do it. They not only put us through the academy and taught it, but they paid us while we went through it. We got benefits, things of that nature. And they just seemed like they were the elite agency of the area. I thought about maybe doing federal, something like that, but I didn't want to move around. I wanted to stay where we're at. I liked where we lived and that sort of thing, and I liked our community. Things that we do at the K-9 section, I have a patrol dog, so we help with finding people, things of that nature. It could be missing persons, it could be fleeing suspects. And then all of our patrol dogs have a secondary thing, either bombs or narcotics. Mine's a narcotics dog, so we help if somebody has a traffic stop and they want us to sniff the car for narcotics, we do that. We've come to the jail several times and helped them with narcotics sniffs, things of that nature. We do demos, the bomb dogs do sweeps at the stadiums and things of that nature. And yeah, that's about it. I love what I do. If you have any questions afterwards, come ask me. Thank you. All right, I'm Deputy Rieger. I've been here for 7 years at the Sheriff's Office. I actually applied here by accident. Long story short, I thought I was applying to an agency in Colorado in the snow, and here I am in the sunshine. So I applied here as a civilian. I started out with the Child Protection Investigations Unit. So I investigated all of the reports of abuse and neglect of children. I did that for about 4 years, fell in love with the job, but I just wanted to do more. So I switched over to the law enforcement side. The academy was really great. Again, they gave you all the training you needed. I've been on the road for about 3 years. I was a field training officer for a little bit, and currently right now I'm actually with our intelligence unit at the district. I do surveillance and intelligence on adults and juvenile probationers, as well as any prolific offenders in the community. I'm also on the bike team. This is our bike team uniform, the bike response team. We respond out to large crowd events. We assist with things with the Super Bowl, and we just kind of supplement CERT, the Special Incident Response Team, with their stuff, crowd control. We respond to riots, civil unrest, and things of that nature. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Good evening. My name is Jadine Hayes. I'm a community resource deputy out of District 5, where I serve as a liaison between the community and the sheriff's office. We work hand in hand with some of the churches, a lot of the daycares or schools. We go out, and I like to call it a happy face of the sheriff's office, because we get to deal with people on good terms, not necessarily in their times of crisis. A lot of people don't know about my role, so it's always good to introduce it to them. I started my career here at the Sheriff's Office 16 years ago on patrol. I became a field training deputy, and then I went on to a detective in the economic crime section. Then moved on to a violent crimes detective. And after 4 years as a detective, I made the difficult decision of leaving the office. So that's what makes my story a little bit unique. I was gone for 4 years. I worked in corporate America and immediately knew that that was not for me. But I toughed it out for a little bit, 4 years, and I was welcomed back with open arms and hit the ground running as soon as I came back. This job has been tremendous, obviously, because I came back. If you're looking for something easy, this probably isn't the job for you. But if you're looking for something rewarding, hands down, this is it. In my humble opinion, the Sheriff's Office is the best of the best. And I'm sure some of you have heard the phrase, law enforcement is a brotherhood. Well, it is a brotherhood, but it's also a sisterhood. And most importantly, especially here at the Sheriff's Office, it's a family. So we hope to welcome all of you here to our family.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to stand over here. I'm sorry. I just do a little bit of undercover work, so that's why I'm standing over here. Don't mean to be awkward or anything. But I'm a detective here with the Sheriff's Office. I've been here for 5 years. I'm currently assigned to our awesome human trafficking section. I've been there since March. I just got promoted in March. I'm also a negotiator with the Sheriff's Office, our crisis negotiations team. I've been a negotiator for 3 years. So basically we respond to calls for service like hostage negotiations, crisis negotiations obviously, mental crisis, people who have been in domestics that have shot their spouses and now they're barricaded in the house with their spouse, and it is our job to try to peacefully have these individuals surrender. Prior to being human trafficking, I was also a deputy for our street crimes unit, which is basically like our street level narcotics, warrants, felony warrants, things like that. Prior to doing that, I was also a retail theft deputy. I did that for about 6 months. So basically all your calls for service at Walmart, Target, any of your businesses where shoplifting occurred, I would be the one to respond or take those reports. And then prior to that, I did patrol for 2 years, so I was on the streets, running and gunning, really enjoying what I did and what I still do. But currently my assignment right now is human trafficking, which I will say is the best hands down position I've been in so far and probably for the rest of my career. We do things that I would never thought I would be doing, and we truly seek those who prey on our children and women that are being trafficked. And it's very, very rewarding what we do. If I can just highlight a case real quick, the case is closed, and the guy or the individual pled guilty. But last year, since starting the human trafficking section, we had WrestleMania that just occurred. And when you have these big events in the Tampa Bay area, you know, our Bucks, our Lightning are bringing so much people, and then we have WrestleMania. We were basically doing a human trafficking operation, and we came in contact with this minor. This minor was being trafficked by an individual. When we came in contact with her, this minor had her tooth was missing, her front tooth. When we basically briefed this minor, she had said her trafficker had basically punched her in her mouth and knocked her tooth out, and her tooth was actually in her purse. Through the awesome work of our detectives, this was not my case, it was prior to me coming on the squad, our detectives were able to identify the trafficker, get the trafficker in jail, and he just pled guilty and is looking at a 20-year to life conviction. And that's because of the hard work of the men and women of our division. And it's very rewarding that we can make this impact on our women and our young children. I would say it's definitely a dream job what we do, especially what I do. I never thought I would be up here even speaking. I came from a family, kind of a broken household, real quick story. Single mom, brother, my mom was a manager at Subway for many, many years. Kind of lived in a crappy neighborhood. All the odds were against us, but I'm proud to say that I'm here, and I'm a detective now. You know, not something that, still some of my friends back home are still working, I mean, not the best jobs, but yeah, I love what I do, and I will say everybody wants to, you know, we just got a 10% raise. That's effective October 3rd. So that's nice. And prior to that, in the beginning of the year, we had also a 5% raise, so a 15% raise. And that raise also goes for civilians too, so not just Leo or detention. This job has given me everything that I could ever imagine. In 2020, I was able to buy my house, buy a car, just giving you a lot of financial stability, not anything that I ever thought I can do before prior to this job. And now with this 10% raise, I mean, I don't know, Rome probably next. We'll see what happens. No, I'm kidding. And just to leave you here, I was looking, we were doing one of our in-service trainings today, and on one of the videos, it had mentioned that they did a study that 66% of Americans said that they hated their job, basically. They were disengaged, didn't enjoy what they did, and we work 1/3 of our lives we work 1/3 of our lives, basically. So I encourage you, if you're in that 66% of people who don't like their job or don't think that they can be in their job for the next 30 years, I encourage you to apply for the Sheriff's Office. It is truly one of the best agencies in our nation, and just do it. Civilian detention or Leo, we would love to have you, so thank you.
Hey, I'm gonna be awkward too and stand in this corner. I'm also a detective in Special Investigations Division, along with this detective right here. I'm part of the Strategic Crime Suppression Squad, which is, we pretty much are a catch-all squad. We go after high-profile targets, do a lot of surveillance, and we'll help out all the other squads as well. A little bit about myself, I actually started I'm coming up on my 13th year in law enforcement. I actually started back home as a third-generation police officer, deputy in the Honolulu Police Department. I've been with this agency now for coming up on, I think, my 8th year. Yep, 8th year. And when I came over here, I started applying to everywhere. I applied, all around the Tampa Bay area, and everybody's like, Hillsborough, Hillsborough, Hillsborough. And I was like, why? I was like, why there? And everybody's like, they've got the best training. It's going to be the best, hands down, in the Tampa Bay area, if not Florida. And that's coming from people from, you know, all over the state, all over the country, everything like that. People I spoke to that were coming into Florida to join law enforcement, everybody was applying to Hillsborough. So that's how I ended up here. But yeah, we're always looking for women. Even when I started back home, there wasn't that many women on the force. But more and more, I think, like, you know, forums like these are just coming out and doing a ride along with us. Like a lot of these ladies here said, you really don't know until you come out. And doing the ride along is probably the best way to really figure out. We can talk about it all day, but you won't know until you come out and watch what we do. It's a completely different, view of what we actually do in all different positions. So whether it's detention, law enforcement, I don't know if they do ride-alongs in detention, but, oh, okay, perfect shadow. But yeah, it's awesome. You'll have so much fun. My dad told me he kept bugging me to join the police department back home. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. He's like, it's the coolest job you ever do. You know, there's so many different positions. As you can tell, there's within one job, there's so many different things that you can do. There's really no limit to what you can do. You know, so like the corporal down there said, I'm also part of the Special Incidents Response Team. We, respond to civil unrest, search and rescue. We have trackers and stuff. I'm on a specialty team within that team. I'm on the extrication team. So what we do is we cut protesters out of protest devices and stuff like that. So, there's like so many cool things you can do with even, joining all these specialty teams. We also drive the SWAT vehicles. So, the big Bearcats and stuff, we drive those things. So you can do that too. It's really cool. So, yeah, if you got any questions, let us know, and please apply. We could always use a few more girls out there. So, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Deputy Serpa. I currently am assigned to recruitment and screening. I am a detention deputy with the agency, and I've been here for 8 years. A little bit about me. I grew up, and I'm originally from New York, okay? I moved over here to Florida when I was 14 for high school. Apparently, my mom didn't want me to go to high school over there. As soon as I graduated, I wanted more for myself, and I was in New York during 9/11, so I enlisted in the military. Okay, I moved around a little bit, got married, had kids, the whole 9 yards, and then I wanted to come back home. All right, so I came home to Florida, and next thing you know, I'm over here. All right, detention is not something that I originally wanted for myself. I did want law enforcement, but I just felt that I wasn't ready. Okay. At the time, I felt like I still needed some growing to do for myself, even though I was, in the military. I felt like I needed a little bit more, okay? Someone told me to join, I joined, still not knowing what detention was, because over there we are, NYPD, right? The police department. I didn't know what a sheriff's office was at all. And then I remember one time I was doing the outside security check in House Unit 10, that's all the way in the back of Falkenburg Road Jail, and I just stopped. I looked, I saw barbed wire surrounding me, and I asked myself, when did I get here? I didn't know what it was. Eventually, I learned to love the job. I learned that detention is a stepping stone, okay? It's not, I know a lot of you, because I've dealt with a couple of you guys, I see the familiar faces. A lot of you guys think that detention is, hey, it's just detention. It is not, okay? It is your first shot and your first opportunity to get to know your community, okay? Because at any given point, the tables can turn and we can end up in their shoes, okay? As a community, that involves the inmates as well, okay? Start in detention, give yourself a shot. Okay, if law enforcement is not for you right now, all right, learn how to communicate with them. Learn how to socialize with them. Learn how to read them, okay? That way, once you do make that transition, once you do feel ready to switch over to law enforcement, you've gotten all the right tools, all right? You will know how to talk to them, all right? Your voice is the strongest thing and your strongest weapon, okay? I'm 5'2", all right, and I can do it. You guys can do it too, okay? In my eyes, I'm 7 foot tall, okay? So I want you guys to also get into that mentality, all right? This is a male-dominated career, but as females, okay? And as a mother of 3 sons, I want to make sure they know that we are equal, all right? We are equal, and we can do anything that you want to do. All right, I don't know, I talk to you guys all the time. I don't know when I'm nervous. Right now, I'm going to open the floor, so if any of you have any questions or want any further instructions on how to apply or have anything else for our ladies right here behind us, the floor is now yours. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Raise your hand, and one of our ladies in the back will bring you a microphone, and I'll hand this microphone off to whoever you have a question. You're not on camera, don't worry. Just your voice.
Hi, my name is Christine Evans. I was referred to by Melissa Moore, and I appreciate this opportunity. But I was wondering, like, how flexible are you guys with the schedule? Like, is it possible to have weekends off, or I don't know, just wondering. That was just something.
All right, I'll try for this one. It's going to depend. Law enforcement and the detention deputies, their schedule is 12 hours. They have every other weekend off. So there is the possibility. But this job is 24/7, 365 days a week. And I think the comm center is similar as far as their schedule. There's different positions where it is Monday through Friday. And we'd be happy to talk to you guys about that. But the reality is this is a constantly evolving machine moving every day, so somebody has to be here to take care of things. But there are some positions. But fortunately, most of them do have every other weekend off. Okay.
I'll add to that just 1 second, Chief, if I could. If you sign up for the first 8 months, I'll give you every weekend off. Miss Evans.
Any other questions? Okay.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I was actually referred to by my alma mater's Deputy Lucius. I don't know if any of you know him. But my question was, a few of you mentioned that you guys went through school while working. I just want to understand like how doable that is, say for like a master's program as a deputy.
I did that. I was in street crimes at the time, which that particular assignment, in my opinion, has a very unpredictable schedule because you're kind of chasing whatever the pattern of the day may be. So if we're having a robbery problem in a particular area, we're going to be focusing efforts on that. So the schedule was a bit challenging. To back up what I didn't say earlier is I graduated from USF, and I just assumed that the graduate program would be just as easy as the undergraduate. Not the case. So I did that for a year and decided this is kind of boring. So I withdrew from USF in the graduate program and went into at the time it was HCC. Now we're very fortunate and we have our own in-house academy. But when I went through 23 years ago, you put yourself through. And so then I get a job here, and then I decided I needed to go back and get my master's. So I enrolled at St. Leo and worked full-time, and then every other weekend, it was the program. Back then also it was a little more challenging because it was campus, unlike now where a lot of it's online. But I found it very doable. The days you were off, you could study and go back to school. And another great benefit I think of the office is that we have tuition reimbursement here too. So you're not kind of doing a lot of this out of pocket. If I had to do that now, Now, having 2 small children, that wouldn't be a reality for me. But the fact that the sheriff's office is generous enough to give you the money back and kind of, you have to do your grades first and obviously prove you went, but then they will reimburse you. And I think that really helps out a lot of people to try to go back to school. But as far as the scheduling, I find it's very doable. You have plenty of time because you have your set schedule, but then you can also work all your studies in.
How many people up here got some type of degree while you were?
I can also add to that on the detention side. After the inmates are locked down after 11, that's what is good about working midnights, is that after they're on lockdown, of course our internet is restricted, but they do allow school. So like if you're going to USF, HCC, or St. Leo, we are able to log in. And sometimes I would just do my online course on my downtime in the pods. So that helped a lot too.
Next question.
Hello, my name is Megan. I'm currently a student at USF. I'm getting my bachelor's in psychology and my master's in social work. I know social work requires an internship. I was curious if there was any available and what they would be like.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Hamilton. I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer here. So we do college internships. We do them both in the fall and in the spring. So that would also be an application through our online process, which we'll talk about in a little bit. JoinHCSO.com is where you apply, whether you're wanting to apply for law enforcement or detention or a civilian position or even an internship. You would go for an internship, you would go to contingent worker and apply through there. We do have, especially I heard you say social work and psychology, so we do have a behavioral health unit. We do have victims advocates. We do have child protection. So we have a variety of areas that you might be able to do your internship in. Okay.
Next question.
Hello, I have a question about the PEB. If you don't pass it the first time around, like if you pass everything but maybe like the 69-second 300-meter dash, can you take that like later on during your training or in academy? Like how strict is that physical exam?
You do have to pass it before you get hired, but it's not just a one-shot thing. We'll give you a second shot within the year, and you know we can help you with that. We're not going to push you across the finish line, but we will help you with opportunities. Next question.
Hello. Not to sound morbid, but like in the military, they have resources for creating wills and trusts. Is that provided for law enforcement officers once we're in?
Wills and trusts.
Oh, yes, wills.
Maybe Ben.
So we do have services that you can purchase through your benefits through what we call payroll deduction. So we do have a Legal Shield program that does help to provide wills and other financial information. So you get a free will, and there's another thing that they provide other financial information as well, right?
Yes, they do. Gosh, I wasn't planning to do this either. Yes, we do have Legal Shield. We've had them for quite a while. It's very cost and expensive for you to be a member of it. It does offer you legal advice. You can actually have, an attorney that's assigned to you. So if you're looking at like maybe purchasing a home or something along those lines, and you wanted someone to kind of take a look at it, they can assist with that, along with, as you stated, wills and trust. So we do offer that as a part of our benefit packet. Okay, and we also have, as a part of our benefit packet, the Employee Assistance Program. And through there's also the opportunity to be able to utilize those services. There is the opportunity to do wills and trusts through there. There's a variety of different services and programs that's available through the EAP. We call it EAP, Employee Assistance Program. So we do have several tools that are part of our total rewards package that's available to our employees, and some of them do also come with being available to the dependents of the employees. So maybe more after all this, if there is any one-on-one that you may have some questions about, we're here. Okay?
Next question.
Do we have to have like a special degree for like apply this? Like for example, if I already have a degree in education, or do we have to study something else like it will be for the sheriff?
I'll answer that. You do not have to have a specific degree. It's just a minimum for law enforcement, 60 credit hours, and then a high school diploma or a GED for detention. Next question.
Hi, my name's Caitlin. I was just wondering what the progression looks like to be patrolled, to go into specialty units, and if pre-services can, if that helps you move into specialty units sooner.
Anyone in particular? You want their response or?
Oh, no, just any.
One of you.
I think for most specialty spots, you have to be here for about 2 years to move on. But if you have pre-certifications in other agencies and things like that, it doesn't, like that counts towards it. We had a canine handler that was a canine handler someone else, and he came to the unit, I think, within 2 years. I don't know if that's what you're asking, like different specialty spots, but most of them you have to be here for 2 years if you've never been law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And we had people try out for canine. I think in our SOP, you have to be a law enforcement officer for 3 years. So your time with the other agency would count towards that for us, and it would be the same with other ones as well. Yeah.
So don't think just because you're in detention, you can't try out for specialty teams. The CERT team, which is a special incident response team, allows detention to join. So our team is united. So she's law enforcement and I'm detention. And we fall under their umbrella. We do not have arrest powers, but we do team up with a teammate that it's law enforcement and we do the same job. I didn't mention before, but I am the first female in detention to be in the CERT team.
Next question.
I'm trying to think of a way how to ask the question. Are you guys picky with people's like past history backgrounds when it comes to hiring? Like, let's just say someone had a hard life growing up and then they want to do different and be different. And they learn from their lessons from when they were younger.
So the thing about us is we like stories, we like the different backgrounds, because we like what you each as an individual bring to the table. Okay, we're not hard on backgrounds at all. We want you to be honest with us. Okay, so we look for honesty. Okay, above all, just honesty. Just be honest with us, let us know. If you ask each and every single one of us, we all have a story. Okay, so don't let that deter you from joining. Okay?
Hi, my name is Michelle Zarita. I was just wondering, have you guys ever, like, any of y'all experienced any, like, discrimination due to, like, being a female in the work field? Like, just wanted to know.
I am sure it has happened. You know, we grew up in a boys' club, but I can tell you I've been fortunate and not. And I've had nothing but support and respect from the men I work around with. And I think one thing I forgot to mention earlier, this event today was put on by men. It was their idea. And we'll... I'm not going to say it's easy. You know, you get ribbing, you get joked, and sometimes we may get it. You have to have thick skin, but give it back. Give it right back to him. And if that does happen, we do, I'm not naive to say it's never going to happen, but we do want our staff to come forward and tell us if something inappropriate's going on, because it shouldn't be, and it won't be tolerated.
Hi, my name is Madison Weiland. I graduate at USF Go Bulls in December. I'm a sociology major with a minor in criminology. I love it. I actually want to work in this sex trafficking department, hopefully. I was asking what are the date starts for the academy?
For 2023?
Yes, because I do graduate in December. I know it's going to be probably Monday through Friday. I still go to classes, so I'd probably have to wait until December. So probably, 2023.
So we try and put on a class, whether that be a detention class or a law enforcement class, about every other month. So in a year's time, we should be putting on 4 detention classes and 4 law enforcement classes. So about every 2 months, some type of class is starting. However, it takes a little while to get through our process. This is not working at McDonald's that you go there for the interview and you start working tomorrow. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So our process does take a little while. It's probably, especially for one of our certified positions, going to be a minimum of about 3 months. So we want you to start ahead. Even if you're still in school, you can start your process rolling, okay? And the other thing that I tell people as well is, please, because our process does take a little bit longer, remember we're a sheriff's office, so we want to know your story. And we want to know about you. And there's a lot of different pieces to our process that you have to go through. Does anybody have questions about what our process entails for certified? Okay. So basically, of course, you have your first online application. Okay. So join HCSO.com. That's the first place you need to go to tonight when you leave here. Go to joinhcso.com. Look at all the positions we have posted. Okay, from law enforcement trainee to detention trainee to child protection investigator trainee, digital communications dispatcher trainee, that's our 911 center, and go ahead and apply. You can apply for more than one position. And even if right now you're not sure if law enforcement or detention is what you would like, go ahead and apply for both. Our recruiters will reach out to you and they'll work through that with you and try and find out a little bit about you and figure out what's going to be the best process for you to follow. Okay, but get that ball rolling, get it started. Once that application is looked at on the certified side, detention and law enforcement, there is the PEB. Somebody mentioned the PEB. So you do need to start training for that. All the information for that is also on our website, videos of exactly what you have to do. So that's a step that you will have to get past sometime within the background. There is also a polygraph that needs to be done. So we have actual polygraphers here with us today. So we have 3 polygraphers, and you'll have to go through a polygraph. You'll go through an extensive background check where we're going to check your past employers, we're going to check your driving record, we're going to check your credit. So there's various steps that we have to go through that process. Then if you're applying for a civilian position, there's going to be some kind of interview process. If you're applying for detention or law enforcement, we do what's called an oral board panel, if that didn't come out right. And at that time, you're going to be in a room and you're going to be interviewed by most likely a major, a captain, and a lieutenant. And they're going to talk to you about the job. They're going to talk to you about your experiences. And once you get through that whole process, then in turn, your package would go forward to our command staff, our colonels and the chief deputy for selection. And then you would be ready after that to then go for a physical and a psychological test. And then in turn, after that, you would start in whatever our next class is that's available. That's pretty much the process. Couple of little more steps in between there, but that's pretty much the process.
So just had a question about what the minimum age requirement is if they wanted to go into detention or law enforcement. And then the second question I had is surrounding, you talked about support and stuff like that for families. So for single mothers looking to go in, if they don't have potentially either the support or something like that, what maybe exists in the department or how that maybe works with previous people that have joined?
I'm going to answer the age, and then I will let the sergeant over here talk about your second question. For detention, it's 19, and for law enforcement, it's 21. So those are the minimum age requirements for the two elements.
Good evening. Master Sergeant Wanda Johnson. I've been here for 25 years and 7 months, and most of my career, I was a single parent. Okay, I actually joined the agency as a single parent. It was tough at first, trying to find someone to assist, because I had no family here. I, too, am from New York, and I had no family here. Moved here from South Carolina after I finished my degree there, and started the agency because I had a family member here that was encouraging it. However, being a single parent was tough, so what I did was the facility I worked at first was at Orient Road. They were still on 8.4-hour shifts, and I was on a 311 shift. Horrible shift for a family, especially for a single parent. So I transitioned over here to Falkenburg because they were on the 12-hour shift. Most of my sons, I started here in 97. My son was born in 96. So I always know how long I've been here because I know how old he is. Anywho, so most of my career, I stayed on nights. I stayed on nights because it was easier for me to be away from him during his sleeping hours so that I could be home during the time that he was in school, needed me awake and what have you. My mom did wind up moving down here, so she then helped me out, but it was tough. But as everybody said up here, we're a family, okay? So you have a support system. You have your family support system, and you have your work support system. There's always somebody there that's going to be willing to assist you and let you know, hey, this is a person that, you know, I use to keep my child or what have you during the you know, sleeping times and what have you. So we're here. We're here. Okay.
Hi, my name is Raina. I had a question. Where does one sign up to shadow for detention?
You're going to do if you apply to be a detention deputy, you will do a jail shadow in your hiring process. If you haven't yet applied, you can also reach out to either the jail or the recruitment and screening section, and one of us can facilitate that for you. Okay. Get with us afterwards. We're going to get your name and number.
Hi, my name is Jasmine. I was referred to by Sergeant Bucciarelli. He has been I call him my mentor since I was in the 7th grade. I had a really rough background. I am from Brooklyn, and I lost a brother at a really young age, and I was just really lost. And he really helped me get through school and finish school and everything like that. So I'm lucky to have him in my life. He's answered a billion questions for me. I wanted to do this for a very long time. But one question that he can't really answer for me is, because, you know, a lot of us in here are young and we haven't started families yet. So when that time does come, and do you guys have jobs for us, like as we're pregnant and as, you know, after we have the kid and stuff that will, you know, help us fit our schedule in and still be able to work?
I can answer that. I've had 3 kids, and I've stayed employed the entire time. We have positions that are called light duty positions, so either in detention or in law enforcement, you go on light duty because obviously you're pregnant. I've worked in several different places. I was in our communications center on light duty. I was in our criminal investigations division on light duty. I was in our legal division. I know for detention, what are your options for detention? Yeah. Sergeant, did you want to add anything about that?
Yeah, so I've had 2 children since my employment here, and I would say that once the notification goes through the chain of command that you are pregnant, there are certain protocols that do go into place. Everybody here gets an assigned vehicle. They're nice cars, too. If you compare us, one more little benefit, if you compare our vehicles to, let's say, TPD and or Polk County, they're pretty nice. So our staff does a tremendous job at keeping us, you know, with really current vehicles. But because that's a county vehicle and we're pregnant, they do take vehicles, and at the same time, I ended up losing my firearm for the time. But whereas I got removed a little bit from my position, I got a new challenge. Instead of saying, hey, you do this for your time, like at the time I was running a squad that was out kind of really doing a lot of active, like chasing felons and doing probably stuff that I shouldn't be doing while growing a baby at the same time. They allowed me to go write some of our policies here at the office. So whereas your physical body may not be engaged in a lot of the activities, your brain, intellectually was really moving. So, and then for me, that was important because I felt like I wanted to still be productive, and being able to write policy was an opportunity for me to kind of give back and help kind of serve everybody, not just me selfishly at the time being pregnant, but also like driving policy for the rest of the agency, if that makes any sense.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Sofia Veras. I'm also from Jersey. I moved here to join the law enforcement, but I'm open to detention as well. My question was similar to hers, the ride-alongs and the shadowing. How does that work? Do you have to apply? I already applied, and if it's part of the process, what step is it? And then can you attend it without being part of the process?
So in the background process, you're going to do your ride-along and your jail shadow after you do your interview and your polygraph. If you are not in our process yet, we already spoke about doing the jail shadows, but if you'd like to do a ride-along, you can also reach out to one of our 5 patrol offices.
If anybody wants a detention shadowing, we can do a quick tour right after this and show you Falkenburg Road Jail and walk you through general population, give you just a glimpse of master control, but just so you can see what's behind the gates back here. We'll do that right now. You ready? I'll take you to the best spots.
You want to go right now? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Natalie Chadwick. I have a bachelor's in criminology from the University of Tampa, and I'm kind of like at that point in my life where I want a career job. I'm 23, and I graduated a little over a year ago. What advice would you offer someone that doesn't know what path they want to take? Like if they want to go into a civilian position or like child protective or law enforcement, where should I start?
So I had no idea what I wanted to do, hence I applied to 60 different jobs and ended up thinking I was going to Colorado and ended up here. So I started out in child protection. I wanted to do something with investigations. I had no idea what I wanted to do. It is hands down the best experience I had. I learned so much on an investigative aspect, just how to talk to people, how to do investigations, interviews. It's helped me tremendously. 3 years on the road, switching over to law enforcement, now I've had opportunities no one with just 3 years on has, because that position prior gave me so much experience. It's a good starting place to start out civilian, especially if you're not sure law enforcement's something you want to do. You work very closely with law enforcement on a lot of investigations, so you can kind of see what their job entails while you're still doing yours, and that helped tremendously. So if you're really not sure, I think a civilian job would be perfect to start out with to kind of explore more.
I'll add to the communications center as well, because like I said, I spent 16 years up there. And that, for those of you that may have missed it or whatnot, communications is dispatch, 911, etc. So it shadows patrol a lot. It's 12-hour shifts, every other weekend off, the same kind of schedule. You have day shift, midnights, there's a lot of opportunity there, but that too also gives you a little bit of a close working relationship with patrol and detention. I mean, you get to deal with both people, so you can get your feeler for, do I want to go here, do I want to go there kind of thing. It's a great opportunity. I know people have talked about seeking further education and stuff. That too is a wonderful place to get your first step in the door to further your career and whatnot. It gives you have a lot of opportunity. Somebody asked about the downtime and how, I think it was you in the back, about how easy it was. And on the 12-hour shifts, you work 15 days a month. I mean, when you think about it, that's 6 months a year. So you got a lot of downtime to do those kinds of things and have your family time and seek out what else it is you want to do in your career here.
And also don't be scared, because if, let's say you Like, I wanted to be in law enforcement. I wanted the cool car, I wanted the cool gear, you know, I wanted to kick down doors. And I was in a position that I was put in detention. And I'm like, oh, in 2 years, I'm going to go to the road, right? Well, I became to like detention. You know, I know it's not glorious like law enforcement, but it's also a very important part of the agency. If it wasn't for us, you know, to keep them in there, you know, so it's an equal opportunity. And plus, you can join the incident response team, and we get to do the law enforcement. So I get the best of both worlds, and I don't have to write the report at the end of the day.
Hi, my name's Jasmine, and I'm currently in school for criminal justice. I want to work with the K9 unit because I really like dogs. I have 3, and I wish I could adopt all the dogs at the shelter, but I can't. But I did the ride-along twice, and I was wondering if you guys do intern with the K9 unit. I'm not sure because I know they're trained to bite people, so I don't know if you guys do like some type of intern or whatever with that.
You're not strictly going to intern with, you're not going to strictly intern with the K9 unit, but you will diversify your internship with different areas in our office.
And we also have our public affairs individuals who provide opportunities.
I have a couple questions. My name is Emily. For K9 also. So if you have a K9, does this department also allow you to have other K9s in your house?
Yeah, so I'm obviously you're a dog lover if you're in K9. I'm pretty sure all of us have dogs at the house. Not every dogs get along, but we have handlers that have been in the unit for years that are good with helping you acclimate your dogs together. I had dogs that were old when I first came to K9, so I just kept them separate. They provide us with a kennel to have outside at our house, so that, you know, if your dogs don't get along or something like that, you don't have to worry about it, or you have small children and you're not used to the new dog yet, things of that nature. But yeah, you're definitely allowed to have other dogs, and we have the resources here. We have our own trainers. We have master trainers, both our supervisors. We run our own K9 schools, so you have all kinds of resources to help you out with things like that too.
Awesome, thank you. If someone was like wanting to apply, but the only part of their application that they were trying to work towards was, like someone said, the sprint or maybe the run portion, is that at the beginning of your application before you can move forward, or are you allowed to do that towards the end?
Your first try will be at the beginning. So that's
Okay.
one of the first few steps you're going to go on, like Ms. Hamilton said, and start your application process. Then you would be assigned to one of our recruiters who would get you scheduled for that. But if it's, you know, something you need time with, we're not going to force you to come out if you're not ready for it. Obviously, we're going to give you the times and the exercises. We have the videos online. So if you need 3 months to get ready for it, great. You're not going to be on a time crunch for it.
Should somebody apply if they are meeting that time still, or should they wait to apply until they're ready?
You can apply even if you need the time. We're not going to get rid of you because you say you need 3 months to get rid of, you know, you'll just sit in one of either with a recruiter's queue or a background investigator's, but we're definitely not going to get rid of you, you know, for that reason. Yes, ma'am.
So I applied a few years ago, but I knew I wasn't ready because I couldn't do the push-up portion. So how long do you keep applications on file?
How many years ago was it? We'll still have it. We'll have your application. However, we did just transition to a new application, so we can help you in that transition. For law enforcement or detention? Okay, it's 19 for detention and 21 for law enforcement. I'm sorry. But hey, you can apply when you're 18. You just can't start till you're 19. You can't start the job till you're 19. Yes, and we have civilian positions as well if you'd like to start there and get your foot in the door. Dispatch.
One of my questions is, how do you keep morale high in the workplace? I came from corrections in North Carolina. Morale was really low. So I was trying to see, how do you guys boost morale?
There's a lot of different ways we boost morale, but the biggest part of it is communication, being present. You know, I want to know what the deputies need, what the supervisors need. I want to give them, and the sheriff and chief have been supportive since I've been assigned over there. We want to give the employees what they need, no matter where you work in the office. I mean, that's just not detention. But the support system, the clean environment, and it's just, to me, the biggest thing, not the biggest, but one of the biggest things is the communication and getting to know your people and helping out in any way we can. That's where I went back to the family thing. But I don't feel like we have a morale problem at all. You know, there's bad days. There's things that happen in the jail. There's manpower issues. There's things, you know, it's real behind the gates back here. But I think we all have each other's back. And barbecues. Food makes them really happy back here, not just the inmates. So there's just a lot of different things we do. But spending time together and communication, my two majors, if they want anything to add, but we don't have a morale problem. At least they wouldn't tell me if they do.
The support of our command staff is what makes the difference.
And my other part of my question was, since I came from corrections, so I know there's a test I have to take to get my license transferred here, but do I have to go through OC training and taser again?
If you come on as a pre-cert, you're not going to do that as a pre-certified. Yes, we put all of our cadets who are starting as trainees, whether they're detention or law enforcement, you will have to do that. But if you get your certification transferred over, you won't have to do that. Next question.
Hi, I'm Jessamine. I actually work in misdemeanor probation right now. We're hiring as well. Hi. I just have a question. Is there an academy this year, or is it still just 2023?
We have one law enforcement academy left this year, and that starts in November.
November. Awesome. Thank you.
For dispatchers, are you hiring like right now, or is it you have to wait another 2 months?
For dispatch, we go through, my name is Monica. I do the hiring and recruiting for the Communications Bureau. For dispatch, we go through the same process Ms. Hamilton outlined, except for the physical abilities part. We do all the same process, so it does take about 2.5, 3 months. We have an academy starting November 28th. That'll be our last one for the year, but again, every 9 weeks we have an academy as well, and we are hiring, yes.
I do armed security, but I did my training for pepper spray and all that stuff. Do I have to do it again too? Yes, please. Okay, and another question. I have some. Another question. For the school for law enforcement and corrections, do y'all have night schooling, or is it just daytime? Yeah, for the academy, because I'm technically a single mom.
Both academies, law enforcement and detention, are Monday through Friday.
And night too?
No, just day shift.
Just day shift? Yeah. Okay. And another question, what was I going to say?
But if you put yourself through an academy that's at night, we will reimburse the money that you pay. If you come on, if you're certified, we will reimburse that.
Oh, for real? Okay.
For real?
I have 40 credits with my criminal justice degree, but I had stopped going to school because I just couldn't get hired with no one for like the past 7 years. But basically, once I do one of the academies, either law enforcement or corrections, I basically have a degree. So
join HCSO.com.
Yeah, I'm going to do it tonight.
Hello, my name is Alicia. I'm actually a teacher right now, but I wanted to know, my question is, as a teacher, you know, we have great hours and everything, but I'm technically a night owl. When you finish like your training, go through the academy and everything, do you have the choice to choose if you want to do day shift or night shift, or is that just like given to you as a new employee?
So when you first come on in the academy, you do get the option to choose what will work best for you. Will you get? Most likely not. But because they'll put you where you're most needed. Every year you will get to bid though, and it's seniority based. So they'll go down the list. Some people want to stay days. You'll be surprised with how many people actually want to switch over or want to stay on nights.
And night differential, you get an extra 5% for night differential if you work nights.
More money.
Civilian and sworn for that 5%.
Someone coming in from corrections trying to go to law enforcement, do you guys do a crossover? Is it a full 6-month academy?
If you're going to go through our academy, you're going to go through the full 6-month academy. You can, again, like we were talking about with that young lady, you can put yourself through a crossover academy, and we would reimburse you for that.
I actually have 2 more questions. So if you do decide to put yourself through the academy, does that quote unquote make you look or make you stand out anymore? And then my second question is for narcotics. That's actually one of my main career goals, to become a narcotics detective. I believe one of or 2 of you had a background in narcotics. I just was wondering the process, the qualifications, and anything that has to do with getting into the narcotics department.
I'm going to answer the first part of your question about standing out if you go to the academy on your own. I want to be perfectly clear that when you're going through our academy, we are paying you a salary. You are an employee of ours already, being paid with benefits. So honestly, why would you want to go pay for your own academy? Okay? Join HCSO, we bring you on, we train you, we pay you while you're going through that training. Our training is going to be better than the training you're going to get at some outside academy. You're going to be more prepared. It's a 6-month training academy for detention. It's a 9-month training academy for law enforcement. And does somebody want to answer her narcotic question?
What's the starting salary for the academy?
So for trainee, we just went up. We were at 52. I should know this off my head. As we just said, we got a 10% increase. Somebody give me starting training pay. I'm sorry, 46. That's what it went up to. And then starting deputy pay is now 60. And detention and law enforcement, we have parity pay. So whether you start in detention, same rate of pay, or law enforcement. Did that answer all of your questions? Okay.
I can touch base real quickly on being a narcotics detective. I was one for probably 4 years. And then I also was promoted to supervisor and supervised a team of detectives that would go off and purchase narcotics. I would say it's a tricky role in the sense that first and foremost, you're always a good guy. You're always the cop. But nobody wants to sell to a cop. So you have to kind of get into a role or pose into a position where you will always adhere to state laws and the strict rules that we have here at the office, as well as trying to communicate to somebody that you're not that person. So it's a definitive role. It's an important role. We owe it to society to get drugs removed the best we possibly can, and a lot of that's done through undercover buys and purchases and buy bust. They're incredibly dynamic. They're incredibly dangerous. So there's a lot of training that goes with that. When I was a detective, I had to train for 6 months, which I always found a little awkward because to become a deputy, I was like there for 4.5 months, and then I'm like, but now I want to buy drugs and I have to be trained for 6 months. But there's a lot of reasons for that. They want safety for everybody involved. So it's an interesting role. I've done and seen things that I would never even imagine that I would have been afforded the opportunity to. But again, it's an important role, and I think that it's great because I think a lot of narcotics can fall in the hands of kids, you know, so the synthetic marijuana and stuff. So it's an important job, and I was thankful to be part of that.
Any other questions? A couple more. Okay. I'll answer that question. We do have a unit within our criminal investigations division. We have our forensics unit. We don't typically start them, though, as law enforcement or detention, but you could if you decided to do that. We do have one person in the unit that started and did several years as a homicide detective, and now he's one of the supervisors over that unit. So it would be great experience if you did start here, but it's not a requirement.
Hi, so I have a few more questions. My first one was, let's say hypothetically I applied for dispatch a few years ago and wasn't given the position. Would that affect like any future application that I put in for, say, that same position or to be a deputy or in corrections? And then my next question was I'm Muslim, so I wear the hijab. How would that affect uniform? Like, cause I guess you guys are paramilitary, so it'd be like the slicked back bun and everything. But how would my hijab play a role in my uniform for that?
So in our civilian positions, there is no issue at all with a hijab. Unfortunately, on the detention side of the house and the law enforcement side of the house, it could be a safety issue. No different than we talked about being pregnant, having to go on light duty. We can't have people working full duty in detention or law enforcement if they're pregnant. There's certain safety things that we have to be careful of. If any deputy, law enforcement or detention has something visible on their body that could show that they have a weakness, let's just say a broken finger, that automatically is going to not have you able to work full duty at that point. So we see it, we have certain things that are safety issues, and unfortunately that is one. But on the civilian side of the house, no problem at all. Okay.
I had a question about the...
Reapplying, sorry, that was your first question. So the first question about reapplying, go ahead and reapply with us. We know situations change, and you may not have been selected for dispatch at that time, but even at this point, you could apply for dispatch again. You can apply for another position. It doesn't mean that just because you weren't selected in a prior time that you applied with us, a year ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, that your application is going to be looked at and reviewed again based upon that position at that time that you're applying for.
I had a question about the shifts for detention. I know that you guys mentioned for communications that the shifts were 12 hours. Is it similar for detention? And for the probationary period, I know there's typically a probationary period, is that 6 months here? I only ask because I know that she mentioned, you know, applying here, and then someone else mentioned starting a family. What if, you know, someone were to become pregnant within that probationary period? Does that disqualify them when it comes time for their review?
No, you won't be disqualified for that.
Our probationary period here is a year, okay? But if you are in a training academy, so let's just say you're in the detention academy or the law enforcement academy. Unfortunately, if you were to become pregnant during that time, you cannot continue in that training academy. We can try and see what we can do to get you into another position until you have the baby and that type of thing, but you would not be able to continue in that academy due to the physical nature that is necessary during those academies.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am, in the front.
My question is, besides the shortage of females within the agency pertaining to females, what do you think is a major issue and how can we fix it?
I think events like this, we're here trying to recruit females. Our recruiters do it all the time. We want any, you know, we're talking to females tonight, but we want anybody
biggest ambassadors. You guys do the job. So you go out and you share what it is that you do and help recruit. Every single one of us are recruiters. So the more you go out and you talk about what you do and get folks interested, the more the numbers should increase.
Why do you feel like they're so low?
Can you clarify? Clarify your question for us.
No, like there's a shortage in female officers. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's a fear, or do you?
It could be a fear in some cases. So that's why we're so happy to see the room so full, because I think sometimes females aren't thinking about this as a career. The other thing that happens too is that I think sometimes people think that the positions at a sheriff's office are only going to be law enforcement and detention. And we're so much more than that. We have mechanics, we have child protection investigators, we have 911 operators. So there's lots of opportunity. Jobs right now, unfortunately, I don't care where you work. Right now, McDonald's can't hire people. So we're all going through the same thing. But with the jobs that we have, we're running a sheriff's office 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's even more critical if our numbers are short. And one of our sheriff's main points is that he wants diversity. He wants diversity in every way, shape, or form. So that's one of the reasons why we are really trying to recruit more females amongst the rest of the diversity of the community. We want to make sure that we mirror the community. I would tell you that as far as our detention population goes, I know that our detention population has a high level of black females. On the law enforcement side of the house, could we do a better job? Yes, we could do a better job. We of course have females on every race and color, but we can always do better. Right now, just as an example for you, our diversity rate right now as an agency as a whole is 61%, which as far as the community goes is actually a very good statistic. Yes? Yep. So when you go to join HCSO.com, you want to look for child protection trainee. And just like we've talked about for law enforcement and detention, we do our own in-house training. So we pay you through training. You're an employee from day one. Training on that side of the house is usually about 6 months, and then you would do shadowing, kind of an FTO program, just like they do in detention and law enforcement, but on the civilian side of the house. And then you are fully certified with a state certification after a year. Starting salary, trainee?
I just want to say congratulations for all of you. I was police in Puerto Rico for more than 20 years. I work as a motorcycle. I work more than 10 years as a criminal investigation. So I know if you have any doubt about this, look at me and here trying to get in again because I love it. I love it. It is something that, you know, when you burn and you had that feeling and you had everything, I want to do it again. I want to try it again.
What is the starting salary for detention? I don't know if I...
It's 6. $60,000. From 46 as a trainee, and then once you're sworn in as a deputy, you're making about 60,000. Any other questions?
You guys mentioned that it will be other jobs that is Monday through Friday. So what are other jobs from Monday through Friday?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question so we could hear?
The jobs, Monday to Friday, you guys say that they are other jobs than law enforcement. And so what are the other jobs from Monday through Friday?
Those are going to be some of our civilian jobs. We have several in the jail, some of our communication staff is Monday through Friday, right? couple of them. Yeah, executive staff members, their assistants, their office assistants.
Record status specialists, warrants, a lot. Go on to joinhcso.com. It lists all of our openings. It changes daily as we open them. You click on the job title, it tells you all about the job, and at the very top, if you think that job's for you, it says apply now.
Hello again. I have two questions. One, and I think this is a no, but is housing provided in the academy? And then my second question is the contract negotiable? I think I heard that the contract's 2 years, but I'm potentially getting married soon, and I would have to move around in the 2 years, 1.5 years. So I wanted to know, like, how that works when you contract.
So the first part of your question is housing included? We do not do housing. So that's the first part. And yes, it is a 2-year contract, a 2-year commitment. So with all of the training that we put you through and the money that is involved in getting you trained and the equipment and all of those pieces, it is a 2-year contract, and that would not be negotiable.
We're going to take one last question for the evening, and then once we break and everybody goes their separate ways, the recruitment and screening staff will be here. That's myself, Deputy Serpa, all the gentlemen in the back with the black polos and green shorts, and then any other employee that's standing around. If you want to try to grab them and ask a question, feel free to, but we'll take one more question.
Is there a weight requirement?
No, no weight requirement, just the fitness test for the sworn positions. What'd she say? Oh. Do you still want it?
We're going to have ID and then we'll give them the badges.
Okay, where do you want them to gather in the back? Okay, if you're interested in doing the quick jail tour with the colonel and the major, you do have to have your identification on you. And then go ahead and join us up here in this corner, and we'll get you situated for that quick jail tour. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please remember to turn in your papers that you filled out in the back. Deputy